recording now. There we go.
Excellent.
And perfect. There's the questions. And I'll start up OBS and Audacity as well. Cool.
Oh.
He entered the waiting room, so we should be good to go in just about a second.
Excellent.
Perfect. Howdy, howdy.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
How's it going?
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Doing
Good.
very well. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this interview with us.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Did Patrick do one with you recently?
Sorry, what?
Did Patrick Frankfurt do one with you?
Yeah,
He did.
We just talked to Patrick, I think, around a week ago.
All right, that because he mentioned something to me, so now I was assuming it was you, the same guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing a documentary on YouTube, but a documentary all the same.
Wow. Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
should be good getting to talk to multiple people from the crew. Before we kick things off, just to make absolute certain, two questions. One, are you all right with this being recorded?
Sure.
Okay. And two, are you okay with us uploading the whole interview to a separate channel just for the sake of archival?
Sure.
All right. Perfect.
Cool.
With that said, do you think we're good to go, Jamie?
I think we're good to go if you're ready.
All right. Sounds good. We all good?
Yeah. So
right.
First off, for the sake of our audience, and because we're recording, could you introduce yourself and what role you played?
Sure. My name is Jesse Nager. I played multiple roles in the ensemble, including Joe the Deaf Trainer.
I didn't know you had a name.
I didn't know he had a name either.
Joe.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I suppose a good question to kind of get us into it is, before Pokemon Live, what was your sort of acting experience at that point?
So I was in college at the time. Most of the people in the show had either just graduated or were fairly young and new to the scene. And I was actually in college. I don't even remember why I went to the audition, but I did. It was like my sophomore year. It was like the summer before my sophomore year. I went, I got it, and then I took a semester off of school to to tour with the show.
Oh, that's amazing. So how old were you around that time?
Young, probably like 18, 19.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. So incredibly young. Would you say your first major acting experience?
100%. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Were you doing like any type of theater stuff in high school or college?
Yeah, so I went to LaGuardia, the High School of Performing Arts in New York City, and in college I was getting my BFA in musical theater.
Okay.
All right.
Cool. So you said you didn't remember why you went to the audition. Do you remember how you learned about the show?
I don't. I really don't remember at all.
But were you familiar with Pokemon at all beforehand?
Yeah, a little bit, not extensively. I think I was the age group like right above Pokemon. So like I think it was like people right a little bit younger than me that were really into it. I do know that I don't remember if this is how I learned about it, but Rachel Hoffman, the casting director, went to University of Michigan. At the time, she was working for Dave Clemens casting, and I knew her from Michigan because that's where I was going to school. So, but I don't remember how it all happened. And then I remember when I got it, she called me and she was like, "Are you gonna take a semester after school to do this?" And I was like, "Why not?"
And it's but clearly worked out well, because I know afterwards you wanted to appear in numerous other Broadway shows. You helped found the Broadway Boys. Do you think Pokemon Live played any effect in, I guess for lack of a better term, kickstarting your career?
Um, it definitely gave me my first taste of doing a run of a show and what that means and how you have to take care of your body. I injured myself maybe 5 months in. I tore, because I was tumbling in the show, and I tore my knee, the lateral meniscus, and they had to bring in a replacement. But then I don't, this is so long ago, you guys, but like, I don't remember why I didn't leave the tour. I like stayed on the tour, and Adam came in and was like my replacement. But then we ended up like sharing the role, and we would do like, I don't remember why they let that happen, but for some reason I stayed on the tour. After like a couple of weeks, we like went back and forth splitting the role or something. It was really weird. And then I did leave before it ended because I went back to school, and then Adam took over for the rest of the tour.
Okay. To
Makes sense.
clarify, when you say splitting the role, you mentioned that you were part of sort of the ensemble. What was it? Sort of you'd trade off doing shows, or was it more like?
I think that it was some of the numbers. So like some of the heavier dancing numbers I didn't do. I remember I made Abby crazy, like being like, I'm not doing this number today. I am doing this number today. She was like, that's not how this works. Like you can't just like what you want to do. She used to get so mad at me. But yeah, I think that's what happened.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. You said you were kind of aware of Pokemon, but you weren't really like super hardcore into it or anything. What was your sort of initial reaction when you first heard like, "Hey, we're doing a Pokemon musical"?
So it wasn't, for me, it wasn't about Pokemon. It was about the people that were, it was like Luis and Tony Galdi, and like the people that were a part of it were really attractive to me, like working with them because they were such incredible people. Um, that was more exciting. And the whole like Radio City thing. And then also just like, being young, being able to make some money. It paid really well from what I remember, especially for, an 18-year-old still in college. And getting to tour and see the country, that was all really exciting to me, more than like the Pokemon aspects. I remember I wasn't a huge Pokemon fan. I am a big like video games, more like Marvel, X-Men person. And they did, I remember they gave out Game Boys with the Pokemon game to all of the principals, but not the ensemble. But then I think Dominic was like, I don't want this. And he like gave it to me. I remember I ended up like playing it a lot, playing on like that Game Boy game.
Do you remember
Now,
which version it was?
Like what color?
Yeah.
I don't.
Okay.
Long shot question. Do you still have the Game Boy? Was it like a special Game Boy or just like a regular one?
Yeah, it was just regular.
Okay.
Yeah, all right. So, yeah, I asked them as well because like they did all sorts of weird Game Boys back in the day.
Oh, there's so many variants. Yeah.
Yeah, like I did an interview with someone the other day about a Japanese baseball themed one.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's a thing. But going on from there, so when it came to preparation, what was kind of? Can you walk us through kind of what the rehearsals were like?
Sure. They were really cool. And it was one of the best parts of the entire experience because, again, you're working with Luis and Tony and this really cool music team. They were at Radio City. The rehearsals were at Radio City. And it was fun. I mean, they built it like a Broadway show. So, and Luis was really like intent on telling the story and not letting the sort of fantastical aspects get in the way of like who these people were. And so he really attacked it like any musical. And then we would just happen to like put on a puppet, or I was never like a Pikachu. I had like one of the big, I want to say like Bulbasaur or Venusaur or something. I like in the beginning, I like, it was like a car type of thing. I like drove out and shot somebody, but I never had like the stuff. But they, you know, they really wanted it to be a good show, not just a spectacle. So it was really fun working on it, and the choreography was incredible, and working with everyone was the best part.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say like in preparation for kind of the show, you mentioned it focused a bit more on the human aspects. Did you happen to like watch any of the show or anything to kind of get to learn about the characters?
Oh, once I got the show,
Yeah.
once I booked it, I definitely like watched some of it, and started learning a little bit about what was happening.
Like just like coming at it from a research point of view, right?
Yeah, yeah, just to like see what it was. I thought it was cool too, and like I said, I started, you know, when the game came out, I remember I played the game quite a bit.
Now, when it came to that, because you mentioned having a prop that was like, you know, a Venusaur, basically it sounds like almost like a smart car.
Yeah.
What was that the most complex part of production, or what was the most complex part of the production that you remember?
Um, I don't remember it being terribly complex in the stuff that I had to do. Maybe that was the most complex, that car thing, because again, like I just felt like I was doing a Broadway show, like dancing, singing. You know, it didn't feel super complex for me.
Mm-hmm. I mentioned that question specifically because I remember reading a production interview that a while back that mentioned like some sort of like large bubble effect that was cut during production.
I don't remember.
That's
I,
fair. That's fair.
I think from what I remember, it was like the first show they were like, this isn't gonna work out, and they just put it in the lobby. I think I saw an interview with Michael where he mentioned that. But yeah, oh, I had something and I lost it. Oh, right. I was going to ask, you mentioned sort of doing Venusaur. Were there any other like, because there's one number where like there's all the different Pokemon on stage, like big and small. Did you ever like work with any of the other Pokemon in that capacity?
No, and now that I think about it, I think I did. I think everyone had a Pikachu at one point. It was like,
Oh yeah, yeah.
they were like attached to our feet or something. We like danced with them.
Yeah, yeah.
But I don't think, I think that was the only Pokemon that I was. I think most of it was puppets.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Now going on, because of course the show itself, you know, y'all rehearsed at Radio City and debuted at Radio City. What was the Hell Week like?
No, it didn't debut. It debuted in Albany, I think. We went to
really?
Albany to tech it.
Oh, okay.
And I think we did previews in Albany. You know, it's a huge show, so it was long and tedious. The tech rehearsals were like really, really long, just to get all the elements of everything together. But it was a really fun cast. I mean, a really young, fun cast. I'm still like really good friends with Dominic, and it was, yeah, it was, that made it all. I actually just worked with Dennis a month ago. He's like a stylist now, and he styled the Broadway Boys. Like we did a
Oh
event.
wow.
Oh, wow.
So those people are all, and Tony is still a really good friend of mine. Those people are all Abby to Adam. So it, you know, that made it fun. You know, everyone's sort of first show, and we were just, it was like camp for all of us.
Actually, on that note, you mentioned Albany. Where in Albany?
I don't remember.
Fair.
I do remember we stayed at the Ramada, and it was really ghetto, and we called it the Ramdada. Like it was too ghetto to be called the Ramada. but I don't remember where. I was in an arena for sure. I mean, we teched in an arena for sure.
Okay. I'll have to look into that, see if there's any record.
No. Oh, sorry, you going?
Oh, I was just going to ask the next thing, which is sort of when it came to the script, what did you sort of think of it overall? Was there anything that kind of stuck out to you?
No, I didn't really have the scene that I had was Joe, and I had to learn sign language for it. So I don't really ensemble wasn't really involved with the script. I don't even think we had mics for like. So I think all the vocals were tracked. I can't remember. I think the vocals were all tracked. I don't even think we had mics. So yeah, I don't remember much of the script or the story or I don't even remember the story.
Now that said, with the sign language, was there like how'd they go about that? Was that coached during rehearsals? Was
they
that
brought in someone? They brought in a sign language specialist.
Oh, that's way cool. So did you notice any particular quirks? Because of course this was an adaptation of a Japanese anime based off a video game series. What did you notice any quirks in that regard?
No, and I think that was intentional. I really think that they tried to create a show that, like, I remember my mother came and was like, I didn't hate it. I thought I was going to hate it. It was like, it was fine. Like, you know, it was for the kids, obviously, but they wanted to create something that the parents would also be able to tolerate. So it was my intention with Michael and, you know, like, or my feeling that it was intentional with Michael that like they wrote a good show so that it was like a real thing.
Right.
Would you say that the aim was to make a good musical first and foremost and a Pokemon thing secondary?
100%. The Pokemon thing, you didn't have to do anything, right? It was like, that was always going to be Pokemon. You didn't have to try to make that. So they really put a lot of the effort into the story, the music, the direction, all the musical stuff. Because the kids were going to love the Pokemon stuff, whether the show was good or not. So they were like, well, why not also make a great show?
Okay, yeah. And now I know that there was, in addition to the North American tour, there were stops in Canada and even one in Dubai. You mentioned that you shared the role of Joe. Did you participate in these other legs of the tour at all?
No, I was gone before that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So of course, you know, with a musical, to get the full experience, you have to be there in person. But one of the things that sticks out about Pokemon Live is that there were plans for a home release that never saw the light of day.
Really? I didn't even know that.
Yeah. Do you recall? I know. So you don't recall anything in regards to that. Do you recall anything in regards to the creation of the CD release?
Yeah, there was an album. I don't think they released it, or
I think
maybe they
was
just
like
sold it as merch at the shows, but I don't think that it was like distributed. Because I know that it existed. I think that I had one, but I don't think that it was ever like distributed.
Yeah, I was going to say I know it's out there somewhere, but I have no idea what the distribution is because it seems like it's very rare.
Yeah, I think it was basically just merch at the show.
Okay, that would make a lot of sense.
Speaking on the topic of merch, I remember I've heard a lot of people talked about like being rather annoyed by what was it, like those light up lightsabers that kids like. Can you talk a bit about that at all? Because I see your face lighting up.
I mean, it is what it is, right? It was like part of the who cares? You know, it's funny too because how do I say this? Knowing that these guys are going to maybe see this. There were elements of, it was definitely sold to these actors as like I was saying, like a real show, right? We're not doing Disney on Ice. We're doing like a real musical. And so, you know, some of the people in the show took it really seriously, right? And they wanted it to be like, their debut, and you're like, yeah, but buddy, like it's still Pokemon Live. Like what?
Right.
Like, I know, and it's better than it should be, to be honest. Like as a show, it's better than it had any right being, but it was still Pokemon Live. So like you had to just do it. Like you couldn't, yeah, I mean, you can't really complain about lights in the audience. Like it's Pokemon Live.
I love that take so much. So I just wanted to say, like, I love just that takes so much. Just how, yeah.
The balance, yeah.
Now, was there anything that sticks out that say was done a lot during rehearsals but didn't make it into the final show, or that perhaps made into some shows but were cut?
I don't remember.
Okay.
That's fair.
You mentioned a couple times how the show, like, obviously, like, you know, it was Pokemon Live, but you guys kind of tried to take it more seriously. It was a real show. That being said, how did you kind of approach your role?
Well, most of what I did was dancing and singing. And so I didn't really have like character work type stuff, except again, you know, the Joe scene, which I don't even remember like what it was about. I just remember that I was a deaf trainer. But yeah, there wasn't really much for me to do. I know that like Dominic watched a bunch of the TV shows, and have you guys talked to him, by the way?
No, we haven't.
No, I haven't been able to get in contact with him yet.
I'm gonna text him as soon as this is over.
Oh, that'll be awesome.
I mean, you know, you had like Dominic and Lauren, and who were like kind of, they had both just graduated from Boston Conservatory, kind of serious. And you had like Andrew and Patrick, who were like, who fucking cares? Like, it's like a fun thing to do. And again, like Andrew and Lauren were they were so much better than they had any right being. They were so fucking funny in this show that like it just made it real. Like they were just so good at what they did that they were just really, really phenomenal. But I don't think they did like scene study with the characters. They were just like funny people, you know?
Right.
And they were like, how can we be as ridiculous? They're like, we have fucking purple hair. How can we be as ridiculous?
Like that's one of my favorite parts of going back and watching the recordings is you could tell they're just, because Team Rocket already in this show are very over the top characters, and they very much just run with that, and it works really well.
Mm-hmm.
And you have like, again, like the most talented, the cast was so talented that it was just a lot, you know, they just made the show really fun.
And with Team Rocket especially, because like they are so inherently campy. Yeah, like, no, I love that. So seeing the rise of musicals based on movies over the past decade and some, it's kind of interesting looking at Pokemon Live specifically, but it's the only, even though it was technically based on the anime, it's the only time I've been able to find that a video game series was ever adapted into a musical. Do you think this is something that could happen again, or that could happen with other franchises, or do you think it's a bit of a leap?
Yeah, I mean, because it was a video game first, but it was a huge TV show, you know? And so like, if it didn't have that success, there's no way it would have been a stage show. And you don't really have anything that's that big and a part of like, and also Pokemon was like a huge part of the American zeitgeist for like 5 years, you know? It was like the first of so many things, all these crossovers, all these games, the car, like it just became this huge thing. So it was more cultural than like a video game. You know, you could never do a Final Fantasy musical because like who cares? You know, like who's gonna go? So I think, you know, like maybe a Marvel one, but again, not from it being a video game, just from it being a part of American culture. And also, it would be terrible.
I mean, there was that one Spider-Man musical that got canned a few years back.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Gonna say, yeah.
Well, it got canned because not only was it terrible, but like everybody was getting injured during it.
Oh, really? I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Oh my, seriously, Google like Spider-Man, like one guy lost his foot. Like it's really bad.
Oh no.
Like they were like,
Oh my God.
like they were getting really, really injured during that show. Really bad.
Mhm.
I suppose that's another problem with adapting something like that for especially like the stunts. It's like, oh geez. Pokemon, it's at least you have the monsters doing the fighting.
Yeah, we didn't do anything.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, by the way, you mentioned going back way earlier. You mentioned your own injury during that. Did that put you out of commission at all for a few shows, or was it mostly just alternating?
No, it was a couple weeks. I was out of commission for, I think I was off the tour for like 2 weeks, and then I went back, and it was like minimal. I think I don't remember exactly, but I feel like because I was on contract, they had to pay me, so they were like, "Well, just come and do what you can, and if you can," because I did it tumbling on at Radio City because it has a steel Radio City because of all the like moving parts of the stage. It has steel frames, and I just landed on one of the, the wood that was like right on top of the steel, and my knee just split.
That sounds.
It wasn't great.
That sounds horribly painful. And but of course, like it was like this was mid-show, right?
Yeah, and so I finished the show, and I actually did the next show too, and then I went to the doctor, and they were like, "Stop doing shows."
What are you doing? Yeah.
No, like that.
Wow.
Yeah. Sorry, that's and just making sure you're okay with that, making it in and stuff, because I know it's a painful detail, but also I feel like it's, that's a story that I don't think it's been told at all about the production.
No, I had no idea.
And I should, like, for those watching, like, that's very obviously not a production thing. That's just something that happens sometimes during performances.
Sure.
Especially with like a role like that, there's a lot of
yeah,
moving around.
and also especially when you're doing, I mean, we were doing up to 6 shows a day, right? So
right.
Like, there were times at Radio City where you'd have a 6-show day, and like, that was crazy. Maybe not. Maybe we didn't do. Maybe we did 4. It was too many. However many it was too many, more than most. And again, it was like a real show, right? So it was a lot of work. It was a lot of work.
What were the breaks like between them? Because if we're doing 4 to 6 shows, is that like morning, early afternoon, mid-afternoon, evening?
Like 10, 1, 5, 8, something like that.
Mm-hmm. That's intense.
A lot.
Yeah, probably not a lot of room between. I know Patrick mentioned during some days when there were more shows, some cast members would like take naps between them.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And also, like, depending on your role, if you had all that makeup and stuff on, you didn't want to take it off and then put it back on again. So you just like stay inside, order food. This is before like Seamless and Uber Eats, right? So like you have to call the deli, get them to deliver to the stage door at Radio City.
Would you say a lot of deli food and pizza?
Maybe. I don't remember. I also feel like people are probably health conscious, so maybe not, but I don't remember.
That's fair. Yeah. Johnny, you have any more questions?
I think we're probably good to wrap it up.
Yeah, then is there anything today we haven't touched on that you feel our audience should know about Pokemon Live, acting, or pretty much just anything else we've touched upon today?
Is there anything else? No, I mean, it was a lot of fun with some of the most insanely talented people that I've ever worked with. Again, it's sort of like, it was this really strange balance between trying to do like a really great show and also it being Pokemon and playing like these great, incredible arenas and then playing like a state fair. Like we were at, we played like maybe Indiana, like the Indianapolis State Fairgrounds or something. And it was like, we were next to like the swine shack or whatever. Like, so you had to like take it in stride. You had to like just focus on doing the best show you could do, regardless of what was happening around you. Because that's what made it great. And, when you're doing, 8 to 12 shows a week, you start to get negative and you start to like, starts to wear on you, and you sort of have to focus on doing the best that you can do at all times.
Okay.
Excellent.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, I found my scrapbook.
Yeah. Oh, I was going to ask about that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tell us about the scrap. Oh, that's amazing.
It was like, I was like, this is my first show. Let me take some things. This is like a daily news. It's like real articles and things with like pictures that I took. So there was like a random daily news article here with like a picture of Dennis dancing. And then this, I think that's from the Daily News. This whole thing is it's intense. Opening night invitation, opening night tickets.
It's amazing.
I think that some of the things that I remember are only because they're in this scrapbook. It's not like I don't like actually remember them,
I mean,
right.
To be fair, this was what, 20 years ago now?
It was a long time ago.
I think, yeah, like 2000. Yeah.
I feel like Dominic and Dee and Patrick and
So cool.
We didn't talk about the little people at all, which is a whole other discussion. That was
The what people?
The little people that were
in the Pokemon costumes.
Yeah, have you not talked about that with anyone?
No, this is something we had no idea about.
Michael mentioned that briefly in the interview that I saw, but we haven't really gotten a chance to talk about it with anyone. No.
So Kathy was who was like the evil one with Team Rocket?
Meowth.
Yeah.
Yep. And Jennifer was Pikachu. Oh, this is my favorite story from Pokemon Live. It's my absolute favorite. So there's always pyro and stuff, during the show. And I think one time, Jennifer's in her like Pikachu costume and she can't really like see very much. And Dominic would have to really guide her around the stage. And I think there was like pyro in some city that either went off early or something. And it was like, it smelled like smoke. But, Pikachu was all of the Pikachu lines were tracked, right? It was all like Pikachu. That's all she says. It was all just like voiceover stuff. So she didn't have a mic. But Dominic was doing this scene with her where he was like, I don't remember what the story was, but he was like talking to Pikachu about something, and Jennifer and he was like leaning in really close, so his mic picked up what she said, and because usually like if she talks, no one can hear her because she's not mic'd and we're in these like big arenas. So he's like acting near her, and she goes, and she's from Texas, so she had this really thick like Southern accent, and so like he's talking to her, and out of nowhere, Pikachu says. And everyone hears it. Like, am I on fire? Smell smoke. And he was like, no, Pikachu, you're not on fire. It was so incredible. That's my favorite Pokemon Live story, for sure.
So good.
I'm on fire.
No, Pikachu, you're all right.
No, Pikachu. This is when I tore my knee. It was like a flyer from the doctor's office. Nice. Here is some of the pages are stuck together too. Literally, this has not been opened. It's from Cincinnati.
Also, I love that Jigglypuff picture there.
The Jigglypuff is so good.
Well, what originally prompted this is because John, I also run Canada's fastest growing gaming podcast, or apparently according to their own looks. And Johnny was on recently, and someone while we were doing it sent us a picture just dubbed Jigglypuff but with legs.
Yeah.
And we're like, wait, what's that from?
For sure. This is when Adam came in. Enter Adam. This was just Dominic being Dominic. Yeah, seriously, a bunch of these pages. Oh, this is why I remember it was Indiana, because Indiana Beef Magazine was in our dressing room at the fair.
Now that's so. I take it the fair was an outdoor performance as well.
No, but it was like a. There are a bunch of like pavilions. I think ours was actually like, oh look, here it is, the Pepsi Coliseum. It was like inside.
Oh wow, okay. I saw some. I don't know if that was you who wrote there. Get me out of here.
Yeah, I'm sure. Here's a picture of us. Oh, this is a picture when they first got their Game Boys in rehearsal. And everybody was like, what is this? There's Jennifer, one of the Pikachu little person. I don't know, just pictures in the show.
I love that. We are family or not?
Yeah. Oh yeah, we had Thanksgiving on the road. I think we were in Atlanta, and I think we went to somebody's house. I think maybe Abby or Adam was from Atlanta. We went to one of their houses, and then we ate, and like everybody fell asleep after. Truly, like this, I took pictures of everything. Yeah. So, anyways,
that's incredible.
That's awesome.
Honestly, it's so funny because Pokemon is so big, even to this day, that it's so rare to get to a point where you say, I've just seen something that I don't think anyone has seen before.
Yeah.
Well, also, I'm really good friends with Jason Page. You know who Jason is?
Yeah. Who sang the Pokemon theme song? Yeah.
And like he has so many. They paid him like nothing for that.
Right.
And he went to court for years and years. They paid him, a couple $1,000s for the session, and then he should have made like millions of dollars from like how that song was used literally everywhere. They ended up settling something, but it wasn't nearly what he should have made.
Right.
I remember like we did a lot of like singing together, and he would just go on and on about Pokemon. He was like literally everyone knows my voice, and I got nothing for it.
It's tragic.
It really is.
And I know I say that, but because
I don't think they knew how big it was going to be either, right? I mean,
right.
When they first did that session for the TV show, like they didn't know what it was going to be here. So, but then he never got what he should have got.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know. I've seen some YouTube videos he's made in the last couple of years, and he's still sounds great. He's great with fans.
Go kind of gave him a resurgence. Like he started getting hired for events and stuff. So I think now he does like conventions and things like that.
Yeah, I think I've seen 1 or 2 live performances that he's done, and it's always super cool because he sounds basically just like he did back then.
Same. He sounds exactly the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he has range.
Oh,
he's amazing.
Crazy.
He's one of the best singers. He's one of the best singers on the planet. I mean, he's incredible. He's really incredible.
Absolutely.
No, this is like, and it's interesting as well because like during, if I remember right, some of did they use some of they reused some of the songs for Pokemon Live in the show later on, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There were a couple of like some of the major themes, like One World. There was
You and Me and Pokemon, I think. And then
because the theme song was in the show, I think it was like Dominic's alarm clock or something. Like was the theme song.
That's right.
But it wasn't a part of the show. There was like an entire new score.
I'm trying to think of it because some of the songs that were in Pokemon Live were also on an album called To Be a Master, and if I'm remembering correctly, I think Jason might have done backup vocals on some of the songs on that album. Maybe. So there's a possibility they kept those. I'm not sure. I'd have to check.
Maybe.
But yeah,
And
very cool stuff.
And I guess the one last thing I'd like to ask on that, were y'all aware when they decided to go ahead and use some of the songs that had been done for the musical for the show?
No.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
No.
All right. I think unless you have anything else to ask, Jamie, I think we're probably good.
No, again, like this has been incredible. Seriously, thank you so much for this.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got to talk to Dominic. It'll be a different perspective for sure.
I was gonna say I can drop you my email if.
And Dee, have you talked to Dee?
I think we were going to email her. I saw that she had some contact info. I messaged most of the cast on LinkedIn. I believe Patrick, of course, got back to us. Lauren said she wasn't available, and nobody else has responded other than you. And,
yes,
Patrick.
I've sent out some more today, but of course, it's been a hectic week here because along with everything I do, I also do a regular journalism thing. So I've been just running around this past week.
Yeah.
Sure.
But yeah, I'll send you my email if Dominic is interested in talking to us, or if you want to send like pictures or scans of anything of the scrapbook, or just in case you remember anything else.
Okay.
Yeah. And of course, when it's live as well, you know, when the documentary's out, we're absolutely send it your way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I basically a bit of context on that. I had a 6-part series I did on the games industry. And I was like, well, all right, I'm going to bring it back on YouTube, you know, see what I want to do with it. And I was like, so what should I do? Should I do a short run of long episodes, a long run of short episodes, or just get weird with it?
Yeah.
And just get weird with it one. I was like, all right, so I'm not just covering games anymore.
Yeah.
No, I want to cover game musicals. I want to cover not just failed games, but things that like, because Pokemon Live, what people don't realize as well is even though it never got that video release or anything, it appears it was rather successful.
And there was like a making of Pokemon Live video featurette thing.
Yeah.
At one point.
I think that's on YouTube now. Yeah. But
yeah,
I mean,
think
they
so.
reused a decent amount of the music. Like, I don't think it was like, I don't know. I think a lot of people look at it and it's because it never got the home release. It's like, I don't know, that didn't do great. But I think Michael and Patrick were both like, no, it did fine.
Yeah, I think it did fine.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But yeah,
all right.
Looking forward to seeing if Dominic is interested. And as we said before, thank you very much for sitting down to talk with us. I had a great time doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. All right, thanks, guys.
Absolutely. Yeah, of course. Thank you for your time.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Excellent. All right. That was perfect. Hope